Peace, brothers and sisters. This is your brother Willie Muhammad, and we're back with another broadcast of I Have a Testimony.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Welcome back, brothers and sisters, and we thank each of you for tuning in today. And as we said, last week was our first premiere on the beautiful network, Closing the Gap Broadcast Network, and we're back. And today we have a very another one of our dynamic guests, right? Our brother Elijah Farrakhan. He's a personal security specialist, fitness trainer, survivor, and much more. Stay tuned.
By the grace and mercy of Allah. So I'm giving you jewels right now. If you're trying to tighten your discipline up, stay away from the cigarettes and all of that, you have to strengthen your thought process to stay away from things, but you have to have powerful thoughts that can overcome the weak thoughts that come in your mind. Because something in motion tends to stay in motion unless it's met with equal or greater force. So when the suggestions come up in you to submit to something that you know is going to hinder you, is going to kill you, is going to bring you down, make you a slave, then you have to have something so powerful, something so magnificent, something so positive that it crushes that desire.
So bring our brother on, man. Assalamu alaikum, dear brother.
Walaikum salam, sir. How you doing?
I'm good by Allah's grace, man. And we thank you again for accepting our invitation to be on this show. I have a testimony, and I can't wait, just like I can imagine many of the others can't wait as well to hear your testimony. So I'd like to get straight to it, my brother. So as we played that video, and I've been watching several of your videos in preparation for this talk, you know, one of the things that comes to my mind is the word transparency, right? And it keeps coming to my mind. And I would like to ask you more about that. You know, you're the grandson of a man who has helped call many of us to life, including myself. You wear his last name, which the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad specifically gave to his family. And you're named after also the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And for many, that alone will prevent some people from being transparent about their just journeys in life. But how were you able to prevent those factors from preventing you from being transparent and open about your life experiences?
I'm very thankful to Allah for the mother that I have. And my mother is the daughter of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and my father is the son of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But I was raised on the idea of treat people the way you want to be treated, do unto others as you would have done unto yourself, and just being honest about my experience, I think can help other people, because as I have tried to tell people just the experiences that I have coming from this family, or being a part of this family, and also being one who was, you know, lost in the world several times back and forth, and the struggle it is just to be a part sometimes of this family. It's easy for me to share that kind of information and be transparent, because if I have something that I can share with you that can help you in your life, I'm gonna share it with you 100%. I'm gonna share it with you 100%. It's just the basis of treat people the way you want to be treated. And if I don't want to see you go through what I went through, then inshallah, you know, I have something that can be of assistance.
Beautiful, 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 man. And thank you for your transparency. And just like what you said, I agree, man. Sharing that it definitely helps people. And so I also noticed that while hearing your words shared during those videos, that you did not speak about pain from a place of bitterness or anger. And oftentimes, I've seen people, and even myself, sometimes stuff that we go through, we can speak about it, but there can be that tinge of bitterness and that tinge of pain. And you actually said you were thankful for the pain. So how were you able to get to such a place where you thank Allah for the pain?
Man, the truth, brother. The truth is, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he is our example, and he is who we follow, and who we strive to be like. And I was just talking about my teacher, Grandmaster Abdul Aziz. When we used to be in a dojo, he said, there's nothing wrong with being a copycat. It's who you copy. And so when I would hear the story of my grandfather on his deathbed in the most excruciating pain, right at death's door, and they said that he was crying out to Allah, thanking Allah for the pain, thanking Allah for his service, his opportunity to live, and whatever was in his heart and mind. He was thanking Allah in the most excruciating pain, in the most trying of times. I mean, to think of a man who has served God and served his people for so many years and all of his life, to be in that point where he's right there at the door. And some people could say, why are you taking me now? Or get upset and turn back on God. And, hey, why have you forsaken me, type of thing. And that wasn't his spirit. So me just looking and listening and watching my grandfather, if he could suffer for so long for us and go through pain and be at death's door, and thank God while he's in that pain, I don't think that my suffering or anyone else's suffering can even come close to his. So understanding the lesson in gratitude, whether we're in pain or not, whether life is comfortable or not, to have gratitude.
Praise be to Allah. And watching one of the videos, this is one of the comical, one of the funny and humorous things that you said, that shared with your grandfather, when you talked about how, and I want to talk because you're also into fitness. When you said, I think you were meeting him, the family was meeting in Miami, and you walked up from behind his rear and he looked at you and he said, what did he say, man, are those thighs on your arm? So what role does fitness play in your life, and also as it relates to your recovery?
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, if you want to start your day correctly, he said, make your 5 a.m. prayer, then do 15 to 20 minutes of exercise, and then he said, read a minimum of an hour or 45 minutes, I believe he said. What a lot of people don't know, or maybe some do know, is exercise. Exercise right now in studies it's saying to be more effective than medication as far as pills, dealing with anxiety, dealing with stress, dealing with psychosis, and these different mental conditions. There's actually studies out right now saying that exercise is more effective, right? So when I was going through my recovery and striving to break the grips of the alcohol and the cigarettes and tobacco and stuff like that, I had to do things that would challenge my will. And, of course, I didn't know that exercise would be so effective in breaking addiction and strengthening my willpower. So the way Allah guided me, it's like I went through so many times trying to stop, and I would get 2 days, I would get 2 weeks, I would get 2 months, I would get 2 years. And then I get to the point where something would catch me. And it's not like I wanted to relapse or go back, but something I didn't see coming would grab me. And, my teacher said in a fight, those are the most devastating blows. How you get knocked out is when, someone catches you from an unexpected position, the element of surprise. So just saying that because I started doing exercise and making my daily, my 5 a.m. prayer, and then exercise. So all of the things that I went through before that would make me relapse kind of made me structure a schedule. It made me structure a schedule. And because of those things that I put in the schedule by the grace of Allah, all of them were strategy and activities to build my willpower. So it was prayer at 5 a.m. and then it was exercise. And then I go into other things, but exercise kept my mind off of going back to alcohol or feeling some kind of false level of what is called high. I was really feeling something from within that gave me more pleasure than a cigarette. And then knowing how much damage I caused to my body. When I started exercising, I knew that I was possibly regaining more days, more time in my life. And, I had low self-esteem. I was told when I was young that I was ugly, and I was teased for a lot of different things. It was kind of like the black sheep. So when I started exercising, and then people would say stuff to me and they'll say, "Hey man, you look nice," or, and then, take pictures of me and stuff. And I look at the picture and I said, "Damn, that's me." I was so happy, like, man, that's me. And, that just, it fed me. It fed me and it strengthened me. So I said, what, let me stay on this path right here because it's a part of self-love, it's a part of self-love.
Beautiful, beautiful, man. And while we're talking about that, and you mentioned about your recovery from addiction here in the city of New Orleans, as much as the violence in the city, it captures the headlines. The beginning of this year, they came out with an article that said that there were more deaths from fentanyl than gun violence. And I just thought that was interesting. And as a result of that, we have created a service under the Ministry of Health to help people with addictive behaviors. So I would like to ask you a question. What advice would you give to someone who may see this interview and they may be suffering from some form of addiction, or they may have family members who may be dealing with some type of addiction?
I remember calling Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in the morning. If I wanted to, my chances was better to reach him early in the morning. So I would call around 7 in the morning, Michigan time. And my grandfather got on the phone, heard his beautiful voice, yes, and I was like, but, I was in a lot of pain at that time. I was drinking hard liquor every day, every morning, all day and whatnot. But I started crying to him and I said, Grandpa, can you please send me to Narconon, which is this place that's really effective for a lot of people in dealing with drugs and stuff like that and alcohol. So I said, Grandpa, can you please just send me to Narconon? I want to stop drinking. I need some help. And then he said, son, I've spent thousands of dollars on your family with rehabs and whatnot and stuff like that. I'm paraphrasing. He said, have you read the study guide, The Will of Allah? And he said, Master Fard Muhammad told us to fast 3 days. He said, when I hang up this phone, you have a decision to make. And if you don't make the decision, you're going to die. You're going to die young. And you'll be another statistic, and life goes on, son. And that's how he put it to me. It wasn't no sugarcoating and, you know, all of this kind of stuff. It's like, man, you know, you got to make a decision. See, one thing, and this is, you know, what I would like to say. I'm in the service now of being a medical provider, dealing with substance addiction and behavioral health. But what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was allowing me to see was that the power to stop anything is inside of you. You know, he said, greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world. But we've been programmed by our oppressors and programmed by those who distributed the drugs and alcohol in our community. We've been programmed by those same people to, when it's time to get help, to come to them and to look for help outside of ourselves most of the time. So we never approach this type of change or this kind of addiction with the real idea and concept that the power is in me and I can do this. I'm gonna do this. We don't start from that point. We come from the point of, I'm going to go get help, right? And so if I'm going to go get help, how much of the space of help are you putting on somebody else? You see what I'm saying? Because when I went to an Alcoholic Anonymous place, I went there, and in my mind, you know, I was at my worst, but I said, you know what? I'm about to get help. I'm about to get help. And so I go to the place. Now you go to an Alcoholics Anonymous place, and what's happening? You're talking about alcohol with other alcoholics all day. So when you leave out of there, if what you talked about wasn't powerful enough to strengthen you, then as soon as you leave, your mind is on alcohol. Your mind is on cigarettes. So 70% of people who join these kind of treatment centers, they're not successful, right? So the minister was guiding me to the study guide, The Will of Allah. And in that study guide, I got so much jewels and so much direction and so many different dynamics on how to view attacks from within, because a lot of these attacks or these triggers come from our will being weak, because somebody makes you upset or somebody hurts you. So instead of me understanding that these emotions can grab the steering wheel of my willpower and drive me this way, from not understanding that these suggestions that come up from inside of me is the real enemy. And I'm not looking to protect myself from these suggestions that come from within to go drink and smoke. They're triggered by something. So what I can talk about that all day, but what I would want to say to you is the key is strengthening your willpower. And that is a real activity that you have to have in your day. How do you do it? This is what I did. When you have to get up to say 5 a.m. prayer, you're tired. You don't feel like getting up. You don't feel like getting up. You're comfortable. You don't feel like getting out of your sleep. So that's the first thing of the day to build your willpower. That's the first thing to strengthen your willpower. You're getting up out of your bed, you're uncomfortable, and you're making a sacrifice. You know what? Let me get up. Let me say my prayers. Let me go to Allah. Let me go to God to give me strength. And that's how I start my day. That was the first activity in my strategy of building willpower throughout the day. Then the next thing was the exercise. The exercise was another will builder. because you don't feel like exercising all the time. So let me force myself to exercise, and let me accompany my exercise with some real challenges. Now I'm building my willpower again. Okay. Now I'm gonna read. I may not feel like I may not feel like reading. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna force myself to get in here and do this studying. So just the basic points of your day have to be something that strengthens your willpower and has levels of purification to it. So that's how I started. But I'm saying this to say, find activities to strengthen your willpower. And it says this: something in motion tends to stay in motion unless it's met with equal or greater force. Now, when a suggestion comes up inside of you to drink or to smoke or go to the bar or to do whatever it is that you know you're not supposed to do, what do you have to combat that? What do you have to fight against that, knowing that you're in a fight? Well, we have to have thoughts or information in our head that will overpower the suggestions. We have to have something stronger that would overpower the suggestions. If you know your mind is telling you to go drink alcohol right now, and there's no pushback, there's no fight, there's no struggle to overcome that, then you're done. But you have to have something that can fight back. And it starts with building the willpower. And for me, it was the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, prayer, and the scriptures.
Beautiful. And man, what I love about your response, and I hope that other believers can see this, because sometimes when some of us talk about the study guides, it's kind of like from the theoretical standpoint, right? And you just gave a real life experience on how you applied those principles and what your grandfather told you and what he tells us as well, and it produced that change. So I really appreciate that you shared that and shared it in that manner. And I hope that many of us, including myself as well, would do the same and understand this stuff too. We have to apply what we've been taught. And our transition to that, since you mentioned your grandfather and what he told you, you know, from my limited perspective, many times people spend a lot praising the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he is worthy of praise because Allah and his Christ said so. However, I think many of us don't realize how much he works to get us to see and believe and utilize the God within ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. And in one of your interviews or one of your videos, you spoke about how you spiritually prepared yourself prior to driving to Miami to visit your grandfather. And this is like a two-part question. Can you talk about how you came to realize, even to a greater degree, that Allah God resides in you, and the role that prayer played in you coming to realize how close, how God resides in you?
You know, I remember I remember that experience, but you know, there's so much in it, and I know I'm not going to be able to recall all what happened and what I got from it. But I was very afraid to go to see my grandfather. It's been something that's been happening since I was a child. I even found out it was something that it's been going on since I was a baby or toddler. But anyhow, I knew I was about to go see him, and I was very afraid again. And you know, you know, my anxiety would be so bad that soon as I knew he was coming somewhere, was going to be in the same state or city, I would just start getting super nervous, because I'm like, God, I gotta go see him. You know? I don't know what the hell's wrong, but you know what? I found out my mother kind of did that a lot too. So I was like, man, maybe she passed that to me. But anyhow, I was very afraid. And I remember hearing my grandfather talk about one time, I think he said he did a raka for every verse of the Holy Quran. And I think I was in LA listening to him, or he was in Los Angeles, but he did a raka for every chapter of the Holy Quran. And so I was sitting there and I was so afraid. And I heard in my mind, do 19 rakats. And I've never did that many. And I didn't know where that came from, but I just heard it. And I went and I took a shower, prior to going to see him. And I started with 1 rakat and then 2. And then when I got to 9, I was like, I think this was the most I've ever done in a row. And then I got to 10. And as I continued in my prayer, I realized that my fear started disappearing. It just started disappearing. And as I continued with my rakats, I felt more happy, more inspired. Everything got clearer. I felt like I was being purified. By the time I got to 19, I was like, man, I didn't have no fear to go visit him. And when I'm saying I didn't have no fear, but if you guys understood the level of anxiety and fear that I hold sometimes due to me having guilt and nervousness, but guilt for, not doing what I should do as a believer in the Nation of Islam, and me being a part of the family of the Messiah and the Christ, me being a part of that family, it's a heavy weight on me because many different reasons. But so I feel guilt at times when I go to see him because I know I'm not being the best grandson, number one. I'm not being the best Muslim, number two. Or you can switch that around, number one, but I have this guilt, and I know like people don't understand when you go around the minister, there's like nothing you can hide from him. It's like he's looking through you or he's inside of you. It's like, it's really, 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 really weird because he knows exactly what's going on. And I've been around him at times where we was at the farm and it's just me and him in his living room. And he just says out the blue, my ability to listen to the thoughts of the people has improved. What, Grandpa? What? Did you just say that in here right now? Like, so I'm like, my mind is like, because I know what goes through my mind. I'm at the farm, but I'm a 20-something-year-old at this time, and working 3 days on at the farm and then 3 days off. When you was at the farm, you was a Muslim striving. When you left, I was trying to, be in the world and be with the sister I liked, or whatever. So the thoughts are in your mind. Ugh. So when he when he said that, I waited about, I didn't want to be too evident, but I waited about maybe 90 seconds and I walked out the room. But I'm saying that to say, the minister said, nothing gets by me, and so I was afraid. So when I went to the farm, to the hotel to see him, I walked in. I was, was very timid, but once all of that passed and I was able to, break the ice and hug him and see him, he was talking to, I think, Minister Patrick. And he was talking about God, and saying that he's closer to us than our life vein or our jugular vein. And so he was saying to brother, he said, he started talking about the distance between, he said, this is close, right? And he was talking about God saying, how he was closer to us than our jugular vein. And so he was talking about the distance between him and Brother Patrick. He was like, so this is close. He said, but if I got here, then this is even closer. Right. And so then he said, now, if I whispered in your ear, something to that effect, he was like, if I whispered in your ear, now that's even closer. Right. He said that Allah's not trying to tell you that he's close to you. He's trying to tell you that I'm in you. Right? So when he said that, and I just heard him say it the other day, how Allah is us, is inside of us, just to try to understand that, but yeah, I can't fully go into it, but you kind of understand, but I don't even know if I answered your question.
No, you didn't. No, you listen, you're very clear on what you're saying. You're coming across and people are getting it. And I think once again, like what I love about what you're saying is that you're drawing from your own personal experiences and showing, like, it's one thing for me to tell somebody prayer works, right? But then it's another thing for me to be able to say, this is how I use prayer and it worked for me. And just like what you were saying in regards to how you performing those rock highs help you to deal with your anxiety. And I think that's given real ways on how we can do these things. So what you're saying is right on point, my brother. And as I said, I appreciate your transparency, man. And I wanted to start the interview off by saying this, but I didn't. But also thanking you and your family for your sacrifice. Because I don't think, as believers, we may think that we know, but we really don't know, brother. But I thank you and your family for the sacrifices. And when we're talking about, I want to ask you this, because I saw the pictures and I know you're a great love for your grandfather, but also your grandmother, right? Mother Khadijah Muhammad. Are there, and I see the smile lighting up on your face when I say her name, right? Are there any memorable moments or jewels of guidance that she has shared with you that have profoundly helped you that you can share with us?
I mean, there's definitely been several things. My grandmother is, I've never seen her argue with anybody. I've never seen her argue with my grandfather. She is just the most sweet, loving, modest, positive. I mean, a level of love that a lot of us have never experienced. I mean, her level of love and her discipline to be a good Muslim woman is man, I get emotional thinking about it, because you can say certain things, but it's different to experience it. I can tell you this and tell you that, but sometimes the words that I have do not properly articulate what I feel and what I know how to articulate as far as how I feel her and what she makes you feel. It's very, very hard for me to put in words. I don't think I'm that smart, but I mean, when I just say the most loving, wonderful, like, this is my grandmother. Like, we grew up and hey, let's get the barbecue grill, and we barbecue, and she used to like the Butterfingers, so she like, I remember her eating a Butterfinger, and everything, but I remember one time she checked me really hard. This was one of the times I was out there drinking and wilding, and she had came into town. And when she came into town, I was introducing her to my son's mother. And I said, "This is my baby mama." And she stopped, and man, she checked me so hard. She said, don't you ever call the mother of your child a baby mama. What's wrong with you? Like, she flashed on me, and I had to, like, damn, like because I would have never done that, but it was me being so far down, into the world that, I became like it. And so I just said freely, yeah, this is my baby mom. And she said, no, sir. She checked the hell out of me for saying that. And, just understanding the high level of respect that we're supposed to have for women, in my family, that's always upheld. You're not going to be running your mouth or going back and forth or disrespecting no women in this family and in the nation. Is just everything that we know about the nation or how we're supposed to behave towards each other. That it started in my family and spread it, you know, not just in my family, but it was practiced in my family, you know. And then my grandfather, you know, of course, he raised us all, you know, but, you know, that love and respect for the woman, she makes sure that I keep that, you know. And you know, I remember just being in the car. I may not supposed to say this, but we'd be in the car, you know, and the minister would be driving, and I'd be in the back with Mother Khadijah, and I hear her, you know, like make a little sound, and she like tap me, right? And I look, but she's like, she go like this, like don't say nothing, and then she slide $100 bill folded up into my hand. She's like, "Don't tell your grandfather."
Beautiful story, man.
You know, with her accent, the Boston accent, you know, she's just so sweet, man. Yeah.
Oh man,
Oh,
beautiful.
one more thing too.
Go ahead.
We was driving from the farm to Chicago, and one of her vehicles that the minister bought her is this Rolls Royce Flying Spur, no, Silver Spur. And you know, we're going to the city, and she's driving. And if you've been in one of those cars, they the way they ride, they feel like they're gliding, but they feel heavier too, you know, because it's more, you know, solid metal and, you know, whatever it is. So it's raining, and it's raining pretty bad. And my grandmother's she's like doing 70 or something. And I'm sitting down, and I haven't been in a car with her in a long time. And, you know, in my mind, she's older, right? In my mind. And I'm like, does she got it? You know, my mind question, like, she's kind of moving. It's raining out here, you know. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking all of these things, but when, you know, little things happen, she seen me kind of like grip stuff, and, you know, and she said, she said, "Are you all right?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, yeah. I was like, "Grandma, it's just kind of going fast." She was like, "Slow down for you." I felt like a punk afterwards though, because I was like, "Damn, she's not afraid. You afraid? Like, what's going on?"
Oh man, beautiful stories, man. And that is that, you know, is that grandmother. You have that mother's love, and then for grandchildren is grandmother's love. You know what I'm saying? And that's beautiful. Now, the similar question, same thing with your grandfather. You kind of mentioned some of the Jews, but when you think about it, were there any other memorable moments that you might can share that come to mind?
Man, I have a lot of memorable moments, but the most important thing is that what he has told us and what he has lived in front of us and behind closed doors, that's the message. I could say he said this to me and said that to me, and, you know, certain things, but, you know, he requires of us as his family to submit to Allah and to love each other and follow the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And when I say that that's what he is and what he represents, and that's how solid it is, when we at the farm, or, you know, he's not a person that's just sitting there chilling. He don't do chilling. He don't do chilling. He don't do, you know, activities where he's just on something else. When I'm around him, and I've lived with him at the farm, I've lived with him at the palace, and lived with him at the Arizona Palace, and been around him back and forth all my life. And what you see is exactly him, but he's even more explosive in private.
That's a fact.
you know, what you see on the stage and everything, and you think that's exactly him and powerful. But when we at home and we in the house, it's turned up, you know. So if you've been to Savior's Day and you was blessed to come to the palace after Savior's Day and hear the table talk from him, then you'll understand. So, you know, those of us who've been blessed to experience that know that that's him. And when he's at home, all we've seen from him is discipline in him using every gift and talent that he has available in every route he has available to insert the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the mission and the Holy Quran. And that's what he is, and that's what he does, you know. So I mean, I could say different things, but that's, you know, that's just what I would like to say. Is don't think that he's doing it for any other reason than he loves your behind.
Beautiful. Man, listen, I know you may be feeling like you're not saying a lot, but what you just said was a beautiful response, brother. And that is just it. That is it. And now I'll transition to this, because in addition to weight building or weight lifting, I guess it would be bodybuilding, you're also a martial artist, right? And requires discipline. So what would you say has been some of the most important lessons you have learned from your practice of martial arts and your training?
Oh man, there's so many. You know, the minister said that he said, look for Allah in hints and signs, you know. And I remember going with my father to a location where some other brothers in the nation was, and there was some negative energy going on. And in my mind, I was like, you know, I've been training, and now I'm like, I'm going to defend my father. My father's not on that, but in my mind, I'm thinking if somebody gets out of line, you know, I'm a flash and do X, Y, and Z. And I was really charged to come over to this place where our brothers are at. You know, I wasn't looking at them as brothers at that time because of the little energy that I heard about, which family does have at times, you know. But we pulled up, and I'm all puffed up in my mind, like, you know, I've been trained. I'm thinking all of this stupidity. And I opened the door, right? And as soon as I opened the door to get out, instantly I started smacking myself hard in the face, smacking, pow, pow. And I was really smacking the hell out of myself. And it happened like this. And I backed up. I'm running like, what's going on? And the door to the vehicle hit a branch that had a big colony of wasp or honeybees or whatever it was. And so it stung me right on my nose. As soon as I opened the door, I'm smacking myself up. And I walked away, and I instantly got the message. And because I'm like, why the hell did this happen to me at this time? And why am I hitting myself? And I was thinking about how much of a martial artist I am. And the lesson that came to me was, with all your martial arts, you can't block something as small as a bee. Right? You can't block something as small as a bee. And the lesson I got from that was to humble myself, you know. So I look for lessons in wherever they are, you know, because I would pray to Allah to humble me at times, because I could feel things happening. But that was the idea, you know, martial arts always teaches us discipline and character lessons, and to be humble and whatnot. So, you know, that was one lesson that I kept with myself, because sometimes, you know, we forget things. And when you're not humble, you run into big disasters, you know. And sometimes God will allow you to get higher in your arrogance, you know, and it's like the higher you climb up a ladder in arrogance, like look at the fall that you got to take to get back to get back to earth, you know, boom. So I went through a couple of things like that, but more importantly, I would say this. Martial arts means stopping the usage of weapons. And we're taught in the dojo that martial arts is 10% physical and 90% mental. So a lot of us get into martial arts and think, you know, it's just about this and about that. But how many times out of the day are you fighting? Right? You're not fighting every day. You're not fighting all day. So if martial arts is 10% physical, 90% mental, then where do I use that other 90? Where is that at? And I was talking to my nephew. No, I'll say this before I say that. I was at the mosque, and there was an elder brother who always would press me and say something that rubbed me the wrong way. He was trying to help me, but he was always doing it in an antagonistic kind of bullying manner. And now he's doing it in front of Grandmaster. So now with my teacher, and I'm like, I'm not taking this. You're not finna, you know, make me feel less than in front of my teacher. So I was very upset. And so when he started doing what he normally does, I started getting into being disrespectful back to him to let me give you some of what you're giving me. And I noticed Grandmaster Abdulaziz, he angled himself and he's looking at me. And I see him go like this, looking at me. And when I got done, he pulled me to the side. He said, man, don't you ever let somebody get you out of character. He said, where was your parry at? Where was your sidestep? Where was your block? And he was introducing me to martial arts mentally, but being conscious in the idea that if somebody insults you or disrespects you, you're still going to have to use martial arts. You still have to parry. You still have to, you know, do your block and not be affected by what they're giving you. You know, the minister says that he takes insults daily from our people, you know, so understanding that martial arts is not just physical, it's mental. If I were to push you, right, you'll come push me back, right, even harder, or maybe you'll punch me. But if someone calls you a PITCH or calls you this or calls you that, what technique are you going to use for that attack? That's a mental attack. What attack do you use when somebody disrespects you? I mean, what technique do you use when someone disrespects you? Or do you have to respond in the natural, you said something to me negative and I'm going to give you something negative back. You get what I'm saying? So understanding that martial arts is a dynamic that is about struggle. It's a fight, but it's about gaining control. You know, so how do you gain control? You know, so that's just some of the, you know, some things that I'm learning about it. It's more so of a mental application than just the physical.
Once again, man, that's another practical response that you said, because, you know, just like you said, he was telling you apply the martial arts in another scenario, right? And that's stuff that we have to do. It's one thing to learn something, but can we apply it in the different aspects of our life, my brother? So we're coming to the, go ahead.
Let me say this too real quick. This caught my attention. You know, when you open the Holy Quran, it says that this is a book for those who wish to guard against evil. And so when you think about guarding, now we're talking about fighting. We talk about war. We're talking about offense and defense. We're talking about loss prevention. We're talking about protection. We're talking about security, right? When you're thinking about guarding something, right? And so how do you guard spiritually? You see, this is a book for the spirit. This is a book for a guide for your life, which road to take. But it's saying this is a book for those who wish to guard against evil, because the Satan of self You get what I'm saying? The Satan of self, or the different attacks, all of these different things that come up from within us. This book is trying to get us to protect ourselves against these things. So when you look at martial arts, with, the teachings and the word of God, it is represented as a sword as at times, right? Because we have to defend and we have to protect. The minister said, put on the full armor. I'm saying that to say this. My teacher said, martial arts and Islam is one. And it really is, because Islam is mathematics and mathematics is Islam. And when you look at martial arts, you're looking at angles and measurements, timing, speed, accuracy. It's just a physical aspect of defending yourself against an attack. Then the word is a spiritual aspect against defending yourself against attacks. You get what I'm saying?
Beautiful. And I don't think I got a chance to ask you this question, but we'll close out on this one. I open up the interview talking about your transparency and how transparent you are. And as a result of that, have there been any people that have contacted you and they've told you, man, after hearing you share what you have shared, it has helped me to better myself?
Man, brother. Wow. It's been so much, because I would ask Allah, why did I have to be an addict? Nobody is a child and grows up and chooses, I want to be an alcoholic, I want to be homeless, I want to be a crackhead, I want to be, when you're young, you just figuring it out, right? You're learning. But my siblings, like from my family in particular, out of my entire family, the majority of the siblings out of my family was an addict of something. And this is my own, out of my entire family, it was just this particular family, which was my brothers and sisters. A lot of us went through that, and some of us are still going through that. And I would ask Allah, you don't know why he allows you to go through things at times, but later on he shows you. So now that I went through these things and he guided me through the mental health problems, the illness, the substances from the drugs, the alcohol, all of this stuff that he guided me through and gave me ways to get out. Now that I'm sharing just the experiences and I'm in the field of behavioral health and substance addiction, man, I'm telling you, brother, I cried because one brother, after I spoke about certain things, he reached out to me. And I was talking about the power of prayer and how, we don't know how to manage our pain, and we wasn't really taught what to do with our pain. So when we get full of pain, we've been taught by society to go to the bar. Someone cheats on you, go, girl, I'm about to take you out. Go drink. This happens. Someone dies. Oh, let's go get messed up. So when we get pain, we've been taught to go to a substance, or do something self-destructive. Society has given us that route. But I was talking to the brother about how when Allah blessed me to understand, to make that transition from giving my energy and my pain to the bottle versus my pain to this prayer rug where Allah is receiving my energy and converting it into peace because I gave it to him. And because I started doing that and talking to the brothers about where to put your pain, because the bottle is unworthy. This sister's unworthy. This cigarette is unworthy. The pain that you suffered is valuable. It has weight to it. It has your emotions and your life experience, and you're going to be in pain and just hand it over to the bottle versus the God. So when I started talking about that, and the brother thanked me, and he said, brother, I haven't smoked in 2 weeks. And this other brother, you, from your testimony, and I was at a mosque, and I sat down, and a brother, we shake hands. A brother leaned over to me, and he said, brother, I wanted to thank you. And I said, for what? He said, your testimony helped me to get over my addiction. I said, wow. And ever since then, things have been rolling. The one brother who told me, and I was telling him about where to put his pain, this brother said, can you teach me how to pray? And that's when I teared up, because that was the most beautiful thing anyone's ever asked me. You know, that was the most beautiful sound I've ever heard. Someone asking me, a brother that I don't know, asking me to teach him how to pray. That's when I said, you know, this stuff is real right here. They listening to it. And like, so people been reaching out to me frequently. And I just been screenshotting just the stuff that they say, because I'm in disbelief. Like, man, brother, dude, I mean, like, damn, it's a lot, brother. So it's letting me to know that what I went through and my family went through, it was for a reason, you know. And I'm thankful to Allah to have went through that, and Allah brought me through that, because right now, so many of our people are going through mental illness because of the substances. So when you look at this field right now, they say substance abuse and behavioral health, and it's a dual diagnosis, but they're not really telling you that because they put these things in our community, the purpose of it being in our community was to cause the mental disorder. It was to cause that. I'm reading Brother Dr. Wesley's book right now, and this brother did a magnificent job. He has all his documents and articles from the CIA and their strategies of what they were doing with different drug lords, and how they brought crack into the community. They brought opium into the community. They brought the weed. They modified this and modified that. And they just distributed with the Italian mob. They distributed it just to the minority communities with the purpose of birth control, of mind control. You know, and so it's crazy, because I'll be reading a book on this or studying on this, and the European has used this same technique on countries to destabilize the entire country. You know, they got them high, they got them on some kind of drugs, and that was the means to destabilize them so they can control them. So that condition of what them countries was left in now is our communities. You know, so you know, I'm brother, it's man, any way that I can help and serve, all praises due to Allah.
Man, I think you're going to get more calls and more text messages from people that hear your testimony. If you can see, I know you probably haven't had a chance to see the comments, but if you go back and watch this, you would. And I thank you, brother, for sharing that, because it makes me think about the scripture in the Bible when it says Satan was defeated by, or the dragon, or Satan was defeated by the blood of the Lamb, but also the power of their testimony. And what you're given, man, and what you have shared, I know it will strengthen other people as well. So, man, thank you, and brother, may Allah continue to bless you, my brother. Thank you for the stories you shared. I know you were like, I don't know what to share, but it was beautiful, man. You did a great job, man. So may Allah continue to bless you, man. Everybody's enjoying it, and thank you, and thank your family, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
And for those who are watching, dear brothers and sisters, we thank you all for tuning in to another testimony, another edition, or another broadcast of our testimony. I'm your host, Brother Willie Muhammad. And hold on, you see some people leaving some comments. I'm your host, Brother Willie Muhammad. Let me show these comments so our brother can go back and see it. If you were impacted by what he said, make sure you share it, you know, sharing it. And if you know other people that can benefit from hearing this interview, share it. That's the purpose of it, because our brother was transparent. When you're like that, I found that other people benefit and other people help. And then it also gives meaning. Like, I think about this, and I'm not going to get on the soapbox. I love Mary J. Blige. But if we take the experience that Mary J. Blige has experienced from her, do we have Mary J. Blige that we have now? Think about Joseph in the Bible and the Quran. Joseph, where he was. But if we take the betrayal, we take the envy, the jealousy, him going to jail, falsely accused, would we have Joseph that we have today? And this is the purpose of this show. May Allah continue to bless you all and keep tuning in. We got some special broadcasts coming up in the will of Allah. Let me see. I want to get these last comments in. Thank you all for tuning in. everybody. Brother said the Hadith. You heard something that made you think about the Hadith, huh? Thank you all for tuning in. We thank our guests. And this is your brother Willie Muhammad, signing off. Peace.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.